Our favorite CS maps have changed a lot over the years, having various iterations from one title to the other. They may have morphed and evolved, but the spirit is still there along with the core concept of their layout, which is either the same or pretty faithful. Now I know people are pretty familiar with how these maps look in CS, CSS, old CSGO, new CSGO, and some in CS2, but I believe the Condition Zero versions are kind of overlooked. This is the disowned and abandoned child of the franchise after all, but nonetheless, there are differences beyond just simple retexturing, so I thought it's worth analyzing because, who knows, maybe there are improvements to these maps from their 1.6 predecessors that could be better in some aspects, even compared to their future iterations, so we might learn something, if anything at all. Before we dive in, not every map is completely different, so most of this list will focus on the ones that have more work put into them. Starting with DE Aztec, texturing has been completely overhauled. It's definitely greener than the previous Aztec. Some textures have not only been updated but also replaced, like the pillars in CT towards A side, which are now crates. The square ancient stones on both sides of the bridge have also been replaced with crates. The same applies to many other places around the map, like the ones close to this connector door. Speaking of this door, it's been made friggin' huge and way wider than before, a much needed improvement over the previous funnel. Bomb sites have been properly labeled this time, thank God, but beyond that, B is the same and A site has some changes to the cover areas, like this tilted stone being smaller. Finally, the sewer area has been overhauled visually by removing projectors and I guess some changes to the flow of the water, and for some reason the blades of grass appearing only in spectator mode have not been fixed. DE Dust 2, the texturing of course has gotten a massive upgrade with tons more detail than the original. A lot more effort was put into this one, I mean, this is Dust 2 we're talking about. But beyond fancy materials and new textures, there are a few additions that might impact gameplay. These changes are focused on the bomb sites. On A site, coming from short, this previously empty area now has tons of props laying about. Are they advantageous in any way? Can you hide behind them? For starters, these drapes placed as roofs have no collision, so you can't boost on them, and nades go through, except the sticks holding them for some reason. Also, don't be fooled by these red barrels, they won't explode regardless of what your gamer sense is telling you, and they might have inspired some future cylindrical object placements. Finally, the boxes and tables aren't much, but they are big enough to obstruct your vision of an enemy from afar. On B site, it's kind of a similar story, more of the same props with similar placements that can give a similar advantage. This corner has been decorated with lots of small crates and a table, and the sniper spot has more of those I really think if I shoot this it will explode kind of barrels. One real difference is this metal box right on site. It used to be next to the door, but has now been moved, making it easier for CTs to jump towards the sniper spot and provides extra cover. I kinda like to believe that these small additions inspired the layout of future Dust 2 iterations, since these same props and barrels can be observed in Source and CSGO. DE Dust, it's less important, that's why it's going second. It's the same deal here as with Dust 2. Texturing is overhauled, dark spots have been cleared, and the same props are present in a similar manner. But before I get into all that, the background detail is a lot nicer with these new domes and pillar models peeking from beyond. Anyway, the only new things here are these vehicles around T-spawn, one of them replacing the previous crates. As I have mentioned, roofs, boxes, and barrels are present on both bomb sites, which again do provide more cover. But more importantly, the positioning of some metal crates on the bomb sites is different, which isn't that big of a deal, but still a game changer for how they play. Unfortunately, this is still Dust we are talking about. And they really did not bother to fix the bomb site labeling here. Why? DE Inferno. Texture overhaul aside, I really like the nighttime aesthetic. I wish we had more maps like this. Somebody at Ritual Entertainment had a lot of fun with this one because the level of detail is quite the upgrade, even compared to the previous maps on this list. The map is still the same with some much needed tweaks to the underground areas, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows. First, let's talk about visibility and nades. Some of these places really fiddle with the general visibility. It's not terrible, but it might might throw you off for a second or two, which can lead to death. As for nades, well, these places may be clipped off for players, but not for nades, which can cause some misses. Now let's discuss balconies, foliage, lights, and clipping. You would expect something that looks unreachable to be purely decorative, and while that is true for the balcony on A site, around T apartments with a small boost, this one can be accessed, though it doesn't provide the biggest advantage. But this one on B site, while still clipped off with the help of some boosting, can be a really broken spot for an unbreakable defense the Ts won't see coming. And what's up with these lamps? Yeah, they serve as lighting, but also they have clipping and can provide a surprise angle. Yeah, some of them do require a boost, but still pretty unfair. Certain foliage in certain places, although requiring some boosting, can give an absurd advantage. And what's with these unclipped, pushed-in windows? This is ridiculous! Valve, please fix. Overall, while attention to detail is nice, level design-wise, it goes against the natural instinct of wanting to explore a place where it looks like you can go there, but get blocked by invisible walls, while at the same time having access to places you also typically shouldn't. CS Italy. Now this is quite the glow up. Yeah, it may be less colorful and grayish, but overall the vibe is the same. The winery is a lot brighter, along with the apartments and tea house. One thing I did notice is a slight fog in the distance, which is also present on Inferno, but way more visible here. CS Militia. The differences here might surprise you. At first glance, it looks like only a texture overhaul, and while true, it's still full of improvements that do change gameplay. Let's start with the house. Windows are a lot bigger, various props have been moved around and replaced, like the bathroom being different, the Beaux bar is missing, and the stairs from the garage to the attic have been shifted to the other side, with the attic itself being less dark and full of boxes. Jacuzzi is gone and replaced with simply a hole, and that's it. The sewer system has also kinda changed. An additional entrance has been put around mid, the furthest hole behind T-spawn has been simplified, and of course the lamp switch plus the cameras are now gone. Now this is all fine and dandy, but the outside area has had the biggest overhaul so far. I won't go into much detail, so in general, rock placements and boxes have been shuffled around, which greatly improves navigation, plus a ramp to go over this fence. And I don't really know why the fence is there to begin with, but it is what it is. CS Office, another texture overhaul with minimal difference in layout. Who took my Ammo Fetish magazine? It's gone! Oh well. What's also gone is the tank outside. Guess they put it back in the garage or something. The cover in the T-spawn storage room has also been altered, and overall I really like this new texturing of the office. Yeah, they again sucked out all the color from the original, but the white really suits and helps with visibility, right? And that's kind of it. There are more maps, but they aren't as notable, so let's quickly go over them. DE Prodigy. I feel kinda bad saying this, but most of the map's texturing is new. It's also so similar you might not even notice. I went back and forth a couple of times to assure myself it doesn't look the same. I ain't trippin'. What is definitely new are the missing shipping containers on T-spawn and some crate shifting, plus a new vehicle model right here. DE Cubbable, some minor lighting adjustments, which for some reason has caused this room to have a more prominent blue hue, nothing more. DE Airstrip, this is the last appearance of this map, and beyond a few lighting and certain texture updates, for some reason, the airplane model is gone and replaced by the dust crates, maybe to help with gameplay visibility-wise, but I don't know. As for the rest of the maps like Chateau, Piranesi, Havana, and Torn, only the lighting is kinda different along with some newly added sound effects. Well, I'm not really sure if anyone cares that much about such changes, but with some of them not being so drastic, it is possible to shift our perception of these maps. These changes having a positive impact or not, the people who developed and tried to improve these maps did their best, even if these maps still ended up being unfavorable. There is still something to appreciate in the end result. What I'm also trying to appreciate is the weather outside, but it's so hot, I can't go anywhere. So much for trying new experiences and being social. Oh well, more gaming for me at least.